So if y'all would please stand. This is only here so that I can pick up audio. Please join me in honoring our nation, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. I've been to a lot of, please stay standing for a minute. I've been to a lot of events over the last month where people do the Pledge of Allegiance, and usually it's like, this group is like 10 times louder than all of those other groups, and there were more people there. Up here in the front, we have POW MIA. We want to remember those who are not able to be with us today. So if you would please just join me in a moment of silence, and if you know somebody that made the ultimate sacrifice, maybe lift them up right now, remember their name. Thank you. You can go ahead and be seated. Because I always forget this, I asked Kathy to put it on the agenda. So we're going to go around the room real quick and just say who you are, branch of service, and if there's something, if you were deployed to Afghanistan or Civil War like Milan was, you're welcome to mention the battle that you were in. My name's Carl Monder. I'm an Army veteran. I had one very brief deployment during Desert Storm time frame, and I got out a long time ago.
Corey Householder, Marine Corps, went to Afghanistan in 2013.
Chad Brewery, United States Marine Corps, 2008-2012, 2 deployments to Helmand Province.
Scott, go back.
Major A-10 pilot, 3 deployments to Bosnia with no flight over Bosnia.
Mark, hang on, Mark.
Go ahead.
Everybody gets to say their name.
Michelle Ritchie. I'm with my vet.
Glad to hear Michelle.
Wives of military are just as strong as military.
Yes. Yes.
One of them over here carries the rank of Sergeant Major. I saw that in mine.
Mark Bartels, Army. I served in West Germany when it was still divided.
Kelly Castonboy, Patriot.
And gallant few board member.
Don Grace from the old Corps.
Greg Barber, Air Force Reserve, active 72 to 88, excuse me.
Milan, Georgia, United States Army, 1968, 1973. Remember the POW and MIAs, there are 72,000 out of the 84,000 are missing from World War II.
Janet Mine, supporter. My father was World War II, Navy, Pacific.
Alicia Flurry, Marine Mom, and I'm here with my dad too.
And Trophy Club Mayor, since she won't say that.
Louis Kalia, Marine Corps, 20 years, mostly flying F-18s, one combat deployment.
Back to Zach.
Zach Wallace, served in the Marine Corps, fought in the Battle of Sing in Afghanistan in 2011.
Greg Lamont, I take it.
Since when?
You're hired.
Neil Linden, combat engineer for the Army and the EOD, 2002 to 2012, multiple combat tours to Afghanistan and hurricane support missions.
I'm Andrea Gustafson, and I am a supporter.
Pete?
Staff Sergeant William J. Shongi, USAF. Was a tail gunner on B-29 bombers during the Korean War. Our crew flew 22 bombing missions.
And I had never met a tail gunner till today.
That's awesome.
The live one.
Yes, if you want to put it that way.
They are. Jim McCormick, 30 years in the Army, 2 tours to Iraq, Bosnia.
Welcome back from traveling.
Thanks.
Everybody, Tanner Whitney here with the United States Marine Corps for 7 years. I was in OEF from 2012 to 2013. Pleasure to be here.
And that shy young man with you?
This is a future young Marine as well, Tyler. Yeah, I didn't know.
He's gonna be real good at camouflage.
Lieutenant Alfred, did the Air Force, Army, active Air Force, Army Reserve, AGR, no deployments.
Tiffany Alfred, supporter, Army wife, and I'm very pleased to be amongst all of you. Thank you all for your service.
Jerry Chief Campbell, 30 years in the Air Force, tours in Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Albania, you name it. I've been there and been there.
Sergeant Matthew Van Skyhawk, United States Marine Corps, 96 to 02, and one would be Kosovo.
Gabby Jones, United States Army, 87 to 87.
Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Schwab Volunteers, would you guys stand up here? I want to say a quick thank you. Schwab had their volunteer week this last week, and here we got to do it this way. We're going to shake hands, and then you get your keep going. Yeah, too late for the pictures. You missed it. We'll stage it later. But Schwab is a tremendous supporter of the military. There's some other Schwab employees, I think, that came today. And I really look forward to getting more of your veterans involved in the Metroport Veterans Association. I'm going with Tiffany on Thursday. We're going to meet out at Schwab for a mental health event and get to be on my very first panel. So it'll be, has a master's degree. I don't even know if I can call myself a counselor yet, therapist maybe. I can't, all right. So we really appreciate all the support and glad that you guys are here today. Thanks for having me. And they were outside greeting earlier, everybody that came up. Thanks for being here. Okay, next announcement. Galfew does every week, we used to do it on Monday night, but now that I'm not in school anymore, I can move it to daylight hours. So every Wednesday afternoon, Galfew does a brief orientation on Zoom, and we also do it the first Saturday of every month to talk about the work that Galfew does helping veterans. So if you haven't kind of gotten an orientation of what we do, join us for the Zoom. And if you know somebody that needs to hear what we do, sometimes veterans don't want to reach out for help, or even spouses. They see something that's going on and they don't know who to talk to or who to reach out to. Just come to this, no charge, no obligation, very informal discussion, and you can ask questions that otherwise you might not be able to ask someplace else and start to be part of a bigger community. So we'll have that out on the Facebook page so everybody will be able to see it. Monday, May 30th, Memorial Day. We'll do, Mayor, how many do you think we've done now? Since we started doing the Memorial Day ceremony over there.
Oh gosh, a lot. Kelly probably knows better than I
I would say 6.
Yeah, about a half a dozen, I think. Because when I moved here, Trophy Club did kind of a small Memorial Day thing, but they did the flagpole, which had just gone in at Independence Park where the veteran stones are. And as I was talking with Jim Perrow at that time, Air Force veteran, who comes to a lot of these, was on town council at the time, and we said, what are we going to do for Memorial Day thing? And he said, well, let's go back to the flagpole. And I asked if there was a cemetery in town, and he said, yeah, Medlow. And I said, I wonder if there's any veterans buried there. And he came back a week later and said, 52. There's 52 veterans buried there. Now the count has gone up. It's over 80, right? That they've identified, and the cemetery is not that big. So it's like most of the people that are buried there are veterans. And I'd love to learn some of their stories. I don't know any of the stories of the veterans that are buried there. But what we did was we moved it from being kind of a small Veterans Day observance to being an event where we honor and remember those who paid the ultimate price. And to hear Zach and Mylan and others stand up and talk about somebody that they knew that wore the uniform that died serving, it's a very, very emotional thing. And it brings the real meaning of Memorial Day to everybody that participates. Last year was a driving rainstorm. It was cold, and we had 200 people that came. And we even couldn't fit everybody under the big tent that they have out there. This year, it's guaranteed to be sunny. It's going to be warm. There's not going to be any wind. So please come out. Colonel retired Emily Ladich, who's not here this morning, is the head OIC for that, and she's put together a good group of speakers. And it'll be a great event. So please come out. It's at 10 a.m. on Memorial Day, and we do it every year on Memorial Day. So
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine, yeah, we'll be out there.
There's places to sit, so get there early, but towards the end it is standing room only because it's a very, very, like Carl said, a wonderful event.
And it's all volunteers, so if anybody wants to be part of the committee going forward next year, just talk to Emily about it and she'll put you to work. Does anybody know within the confines of Trophy Club, do we have a Gold Star family now? Because we used to, but they moved. So I don't know if we have. Nobody pops right to mind. If you do identify a Gold Star family that lives in Trophy Club, and this could be all the way back to if their father or grandfather was in World War II, right? We want to be able to recognize them at the Memorial Day observance. And on Wednesday night at the town council, we're going to do a proclamation for Memorial Day. We would love to be able to give that proclamation to a Trophy Club Gold Star family. And we have never been able to do that. So just think about it. If you know anybody that fits that, please let us know. MBA Veteran of the Year nominations. I kind of vote, since she's not here, for Emily Ladich. What do you guys think? We can keep that up there to throw her off. And let's see, what other announcements do we have? Anybody have for the good of the group?
Make sure parking is over at the Trophy Club parking lot. Where they don't like a lot of people parking at the cemetery. VIP can and handicap people can.
Right.
But there'll be shuttles provided.
That's right. Yeah, there will be golf cart shuttles coming from the Trophy Club Country Club over to the cemetery. So park on the street or park in the country club and come over and don't pull into the cemetery, because you're absolutely right. They will turn you away if you try to
We
pull
get
in.
in trouble because it tears up the lawn.
Right.
So can I just ask,
Sure.
Invictus is going to participate in there and roll up there to the cemetery, so just...
You guys are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't stop you from doing it. I don't think we could. Okay, other announcements. Somebody got to have some other kind of announcement. Anything good happening in anybody's life?
I'll just throw something out real quick. There's an organization in Fort Worth called Roll Call. There's over 1,000 veterans involved with it. It's super cool. They meet once a month at Birchwood Baptist Church. And this month, Dawn is going to be speaking. So it's open to anybody. So we'd love to have y'all come out.
Say again, what day?
What day are you speaking?
What'd you say?
What day are you speaking at Roll Call?
Roll call?
Is it 22nd? It's the
27th, the last Friday.
It's the last Friday each month, right?
fourth Friday of each month.
Fourth
Sometimes there's 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes there are. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so come out here, Dawn. You got to get there early or you won't get a seat.
Correct.
That place fills up really fast. And if you're a veteran, you eat for free.
Yes.
So they do a very, very nice job there. Okay.
We don't allow anyone to sleep.
Now if you speak, they won't. Anybody else? Well, Che, come on up. Che's our speaker today. Che is, I think you said earlier, Army and Air Force veteran. And I've been talking up here for a whole long time, so I'm just going to let you kind of introduce yourself. And we're glad that you're here. Let me grab my coffee and I'll get out of the way. This is here just to pick up the day.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be out here. And I was kind of wondering, I was like, why would I get paid to come speak and with all this distinguished veterans and whatnot? And then I was thinking, well, Neil and Andrew probably set me up to be out here because I'm the low man on totem pole. So I don't know what kind of stories. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for letting me be here. So, about me, I didn't know what to talk about. And they say, well, just talk about you. And I'm like, that's pretty easy. My wife's like, yeah, you got there, just talk all day. But my life is a life full of servitude. All I've done, my middle name is Abdul, which means servant, so I guess it's fitting. But everything since high school has been life of service. I joined the Air Force, great time in the Air Force. After the Air Force, I went to law enforcement for state trooper. Then after that, that wasn't enough. So Army had a bonus and say, hey, be a drill sergeant. You know, we'll give you a bonus and you can serve your country some more. So I went into the Army, be a drill. And you know, I just never stopped. I love serving. It's fun. And when you do something that's fun, it's not work. And like part of my Air Force career, why I like service, because I got to serve on the drill team. And so all I did was military honors, sun up, sun down. You know, all the POWs and MIA tables, you know, I've done many of them. It's what I respected the most. The tomb, I didn't get to go to the tomb, but I did get to go train with those guys, the guys up in DC, love them. That's what my meaning, what honors were, you know, be able to give back to myself, you know, selflessly. And coming out the military back in 2019, had no clue what I was going to do. The scary experience, and you know, a lot of people say, why aren't you just staying in? Because I've always felt that there's more that you could do on the outside. Everything that I've done in the military, I can repeat and replicate on the outside, but with less restrictions. So as most of you know, the service is great, but the service is what you take out of it. And that's what I want to do on the outside, take what I've learned, my experiences, and you know, share with my other fellow veterans. And so my goal was to get out, get into TDA, because the year before I got out, I've been hitting up Dustin Hayes. I need to find him, but he was my recruiter for TDA. And he worked with me. He offered me a position when I was still in the military, but I couldn't get away to go to the training. And so he said, well, when you're completely out, come back and you see me. True to his word, I got completely out, came back, met up with him, and I got the position with TDA. And it's been a wonderful experience since I don't have a lot of trust in people, and you know, because we all have our experience with the military where trust can be a factor. You have to do your job, do it well, or you know, you're gonna have some sergeant or officer on your case say, hey, you know, what's this about? We need to get these expectations, and that's fine. You know, that's part of growing. But the trust part is when I got out the military and started working at TDA, I'm like, okay, I'm side-eyeing everyone. I'm like, these people are way too nice and they're way too friendly. And I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for the hammer to drop. So, so you know, my manager, Andrew, I love that guy. He's like super nice. And I'm like, okay, why are you acting this nice? I know I'm mean, but why are you acting this nice? So every day I talk to him on the phone or doing virtual that time. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for him to, been in a month or two, waiting for him to turn it up and like, okay, you know, shade, you know, this, that, I found or whatever. That's what we're used to in the military is you're not calm. But here Andrew's like, yeah, you know, if you have any questions, you know, come find me or senior manager, director, we're all available. And I was like, no way you're setting me up to talk to no director. That's just not gonna happen. But, you know, the people I met with Charles Schwab, TDA, they are exactly helpful. They need the definition because I can go to them anytime and they are there and willing to help you. And I've been there for over a year now, so it's not a lie. They can't keep up the facade for, you know, for this long. So they actually are good people, which I appreciate. So it makes the stress level a whole lot better, you know, knowing that you could come to work and you want to be there. And also part of the service industry, I decided to get into, and I'm in a process of creating my own service, personal finance, where I can help veterans with their credit, make a life decision. So I could go back to the guys that are still in reserves, active duty, and help them out. Hey, when you decide you want to get out and move on, you need to have a plan. My plan was to have everything paid off before I got out because I didn't want to put all the stresses on my wife. I knew once I get out, the finances are going to change, all that BHA, all those good stuff that I was getting, it's going to be gone. So I'm going to be making what I'm going to make in that base pay. So changing over to that, working with the system to know, hey, I need to have stuff paid off. I need to have things aligned to where I could at least be somewhat debt-free, give me a position. So I got into Empower. They taught me, were teaching me cybersecurity. I was like, I'm gonna go to the cybersecurity field. And I'm more learning now, going towards digital marketing and WGU, but I have to have a plan. And our servicemen and whoever you come across in your daily life, plan is everything. And so if you know someone who's getting out, who's a veteran, they got a plan, they got a budget, they got to see the big picture. And that's what I'm going to be doing, teaching and help plan. And hey, if you're in the military, there's no reason when you get out the military, you should be financially, free. You should not be in debt leaving the military. Matter of fact, you should have a plan. You got a place like Charles Schwab where you can invest your money into and have a plan. There's so much stuff, life insurance, just savings. There's so much stuff out there, resources out there for us and everyone, where there's no reason to not have a plan. And so part of the life of servitude is, getting the word out there. There's a plan. I know any given moment, if you're a veteran, I could go to you, hey, I'm struggling, and everyone taking off the shirt off the back to help. And that's the community I grew up in, and that's what I want to get back. And so, that trust is big. I'm getting better with trust. I took the GPS off my wife's car, and I just want to say, being surrounded by good people is what you're going to be. You are who your friends are. And so I always constantly trying to surround myself around good people. And, being around Neil and Andrea, I'm so thankful they took me in and made me the guinea pig, because I couldn't get that anywhere else, but I appreciate that. And I appreciate them for, bringing me into the MVM family and meeting good people like Tan and his Shy Marine. So transitioning, I had a plan. My plan was TDA. I was able to accomplish that. Start up a business, give back. So where I'm at now, I'm just, in the greatest organization I've ever been a part of, which is Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade. I mean, it's just a great organization, and I will recommend them to everyone, because I'm not only just an associate there, I'm a client. I have my investments in there, so I know how I want to be treated, and so I can see amongst other people how they treat others, and so it's a no-brainer for me. You want to be around people who's going to actually look out for you, treat you right. And if I ever get out of line, I got a sergeant major in the household that pretty much keeps me in track, make sure I stay focused and do what I need to do. So, thank you, wife, love, heart. And that's me. Drill team to the heart. That's what I love to do, and being part of the honors and to give back, and putting up flag ceremonies. And I wish I still had my jacket, to be part of the Victus, maybe get to ride out with them and whatnot. But hey, I love this, seeing all people from all different walks of life, come together for one common good is to give back. So that's Shay Alfred.
We got some questions. We've got a question for Chad.
Yes, sir.
You said you were a Army drill instructor?
Yes.
What did you do when you ran into a situation where a recruit has certain opinions, has certain ideas, and it's in conflict with what you're trying to teach them? Because I know, the younger generation have different ideals, and what was your way of resolving that?
Well, I guess it was important to know that what you're dealing with, and you're not dealing with, the baby boomers or whatnot, and the younger generations do think differently. So the more you prepare and know who your audience is, the more you can handle the situation. So yeah, the younger generation, they are opinionated. They are gonna, hey, push the question. As long as you don't take offense to it and it's done respectfully, you know, there's always a way to, okay, what you're trying to say is you answer them and get them on the way. So this is about being respectful, understanding where they're coming from and not taking offense to it.
I don't ever remember a drill sergeant letting me ask him a question. Not one time.
Different breed now. There's a lot of restrictions now.
That was a while back.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your most memorable story of being in the SWAT?
I think my most memorable story was one of the first missions I went on. You know, I'm thinking, okay, this bad guy's, you know, he's gonna be having weapons everywhere, you know, just ready. And so he was up in an apartment complex, so we went up there, it was in the hallway, and I was a breacher, so we set up, and we breached the door, and you know, it was like, bang, you know, SWAT. And all I heard was a hiker scream, like, ah! And the dude was running, screaming, and I'm like, this is supposed to be some drug guy, you know, money, arson, you know, all that kind of stuff, and he's out here screaming, so. Yeah, TV is not real life.
What kind of dog training did you do?
So, you know, just the basics, you know, I don't do all that advanced stuff because a lot of people don't have the time to put in that type of work. So they just want an obedient dog. So most of it I do is to sit, heel, place, kennel, especially a lot of kennel training because if you're not home working class people, you need your dog to be comfortable in the kennel. So just giving people tips on how to make the dog comfortable, using the bathroom with the puppies, and just the basics training. And on dog sitting too, I dog sit for my friends or people who have to go out of town. Good question. Yes, sir.
Well, can you share a very funny moment when you were a drill instructor?
I don't have many of those. It's pretty much, you know, take care of business and, you know,
Can you give us a sample?
yeah, it was pretty boring.
Where were you stationed when you were drill sergeant?
I was here in Texas. So I did on the reserve side, AGR. So I was here in Texas and went to all the schools and fill in for the drills, active duty drills that had to get some breaks, some time off. So we just did it locally. For Seal.
Well, thank you, Chief, for being here. Give Gallup 2.2.
Thank you.
You said something about having a plan.
Yes.
Yeah, so that sounds to me like the most important, in your mind, the most important thing anybody can do is have a plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's, how many of us when we left the military had a plan? Maybe 3, 4. The rest of us didn't have a plan, right? And that's the thing that trips up most veterans is they don't have a plan.
Yeah, it's real life. It's real life getting out. I just talked to a guy the other day. He's like, yeah, I got out and just hang out with my kid and everything and almost went to debt. So, yeah, that's fine. You want to spend that time, but, you know, how you can support yourself. Have yourself in place to where you can minimize the pain. It's not saying it's not going to be there, but at least you can minimize it. Have a job lined up, hopefully networking, talking to people. Your plan is a must.
Yeah, my favorite philosopher, Yogi Berra, once said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll probably end up someplace else. And that's the definition of not having a plan. When you get to wherever your destination is, that's probably not where you really wanted to be, and you wouldn't have been there if you'd had a plan. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Give it up for Shade. I forgot to mention earlier, I wanted to say something. If you haven't seen it yet on, I think it's Fox 4, they have a story about the Trophy Club Police Department saving the life of a woman. Here in Trophy Club, the flock camera system alerted the police department that there was a stolen vehicle. Chief Arata told this story last week at Rotary, so I'll relay the things that he said. But he said they got the alert, they stopped the car within 5 minutes. What they think was the car was stolen out of California, but the woman was abducted out of Kansas. And she had a massive overdose of God knows what, and she was unconscious in the car. And the police think that the guy pulled into the parking complex to dump the car and just let her die. But they got there because the camera system alerted them the car was stolen. They got there so fast, they caught the guy, and they were able to grab Norcan out of the patrol car and administer Norcan and save the woman's life. So, in the video, all the Trophy Club police wear body cameras. So you see the whole thing transpire from them identifying the woman and going to get the Narcan, and it's a pretty cool piece that Channel 4 did. So, and it was on last night, it was on this morning. So check out the news today, maybe you'll get to see a piece of that. And we'll probably, if we can grab it for the town, I bet we'll put it up on social media. For
Yeah,
people.
it's on social media.
It is now, good. Yeah, I wanted to make sure and recognize that because they did a phenomenal job. Jim, you had an alibi on an announcement?
It's okay, at 2 minutes? All right.
Unless it's Amway.
No, I kind of shuttle whether I want to talk about this or not, but I feel like I got a bunch of vets in here and I probably should. So the wives, you can plug your ears or not. Back in December, I saw my doc, got my blood test, did my annual physical. My PSA was elevated. That's prostate specific antigen. Went to see the urologist. She got me in there quick. And short story is I got prostate cancer. So good news is I had surgery back in March, and they got it. They got it before it spread. Now, why am I telling you this today? I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not like I was there and I got shot in the leg. No. I'm telling you that because as guys, we tend to blow it off. As vets, we're really bad about not doing it. And I was bad about not going to my physical for a couple of years. Just COVID, I'm busy, I'm working, I'm traveling. And I don't, and it gets worse as vets get out. We don't have that annual physical that we have to go to. Well, you probably should. Because here's what I learned about prostate cancer. It's very treatable if they catch it before it spreads. If it spreads, it's not like breast cancer. Many of you know my wife Andy survived breast cancer. They can't treat it with chemo. So the survivability rate goes way down if it spreads. So I would encourage all of you, please, if you haven't had that blood test, get it done and get it checked. Because if they catch it early, it's very survivable. For the wives out there, you want to protect your investment, right? And also, the marital thing is right back where it was after a month, so I'm happy about that too. Please, as vets, we're pretty good about helping each other out. We're not very good about doing the right thing for ourselves because it feels selfish. And my last shout out is to the Army wives. Bambi and I ran in, saw a meltdown of a very young person over something we thought was unbelievable, small. And I thought, man, I can remember back when my Army bride had 3 little kids. I was gone, and she had to pack them all up and move all the way to Korea. I mean, think about what a monumental thing that was. So any military spouse, the things that they are able to pull off in the absence of their spouses is amazing. So please don't sell yourselves short. I'm really, I look at that and I look at her and I said, damn, I'm glad I married you because that's scary. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, anybody else have anything?
I got one, Carl. So in the military, we all know we can get discounts places like Home Depot or something like that, to show you something to do in the military. Those things are out there everywhere apparently. And I think there should be an app or something like that. The other day I'm getting my AC checked. The guy says it's going to be $149, but he goes, you could sign up for twice a year, it's $177. I go, okay, well, do you have a military discount? He goes, 1 hour air. He goes, for veterans, it's all free. Those types of things. So if you need your AC checked, 1 hour air. The irony is I would have never known. It'd be so cool if there was an app that when you walk through Wendy's and it said, oh, you get 10% off here. Where you deserved it. You all deserve it. Serve the flag and deserve that break. It was kind of cool. Not a commercial for whatever.
There have been organizations that have tried to do that. And the issue is they go out of date or they're not able to make it all encompassing and then they have to be able to fund it.
Yeah.
And so so far it hasn't been sustainable and it's certainly not a project I want to take on.
This state's really good for licenses if you have a medal. Like I have an air medal on my license plate, so you can park at the airport for free. The state's very good.
Well, if you're 50% VA rated or higher, you park at the airport for free.
Well, And saying medals, so I have another, if you have a meritorious service medal, there's a whole list of medals that the state has come out with. When you call them, they also pay the registration going forward on that car. So instead of paying 60, you pay like $10 or something like that. So there's a lot of military things out there. The state is very good.
So just always ask.
Well, and like Jim said, one of the last things the veteran's gonna do is ask for a benefit for themselves. Right, whether it's getting a physical checkup or doing because of the perception that, number one, may be selfish, but I think even greater than that is having to ask for help is a little shameful. So it's something that people don't want to do. You know, I go back and forth, like Meat U Anywhere here, they do a better discount. But I never ask for it because I love the fact that they host us here for free. So I'll give them the extra 50 cents or whatever it is, right? So there are some businesses I choose not to even ask about a better discount, but there's others I don't ask about because, you know, do I feel worthy of actually getting that? That's something.
When he was talking,
hang on just a second, Mylon, I think was first.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what, when I first met Carl, he said, "Wow, you're a veteran." I said, "Yeah," and he said, do you get any veterans benefits?" And I said, "No, I've never really asked for them because I never really needed them." And he said, "Well, you ought to go down there and talk to the VA just to get a feel for what they do." Well, they threw me out about 4 times and said, "You know, you just make too much money. You and your wife combined, we can't help you." And until I mentioned the fact that I had a couple of Purple Hearts, and I don't know why, but they went ding, and they said, "Wait a minute, come back in here and talk to us." And next thing I knew, Carl said, "Keep pushing them, keep talking to them." So next thing I knew, I was 300% rated, and all this gobbledygook. They put me through a bunch of tests, and I started getting money and mail. And it was, you know, it's been 40 some odd, 50 some years since I served in the military. And they kept coming up with other things like, "Oh, you have PTSD? Boom, that's another deal. And you were associated with Agent Orange? Boom, that's another deal." I mean, it hadn't been easy because the idea of having heart problems never crossed my mind. But apparently that's connected somehow or another if you were really up to your elbows in Agent Orange. And so we had no idea what that stuff was. We used to wipe the aircraft down after we got coated with it. So yeah, we had direct contact with that. Infantry especially, you can tell them by the tips of their fingers because they were holding the poncho over top of them as we laid down the coatings of Agent Orange. And their fingertips don't work anymore. So there's a lot of things that you need to know. I had no idea about after 50 some years later, and this guy telling me, you know, "Hey, you need to get out there and keep bugging them." So if you know somebody, tell them about it. Get them down there. I've helped a couple of veterans that had no idea. One of them was worth playing. And he's at least got a little bit of money coming to him for losing his hearing. He flew in military aircraft, no mufflers. I mean, they're pretty loud. And it was years ago in Korea. He never even thought about it. So keep talking to veterans because a lot of them don't know. A lot of them are too proud to go down there because, you know, they feel like they're in a peak of shape, but you never know what's going to creep up on you and grab you. So.
One of the things that's become really, really apparent to me over the last couple of years is you think about 100% of people that go in the military, maybe 20% retire. Maybe, that might even be a high estimate. And you could say maybe 20% do one enlistment and then get out. Because the military just went for them, they go on to something else. That means about 60% re-enlisted but didn't retire. So why is that? You know, in some cases, Like Mylan got invited to join the military or go to jail, and then he got invited to, then he got told they didn't want him anymore and go find a new life, right? So when something like that happens, then, and the whole Vietnam experience combined in terms of not being welcomed home, that creates an environment where you don't want to reach out and talk to somebody about your military service because it's too painful, right? It took a long time for me to talk about the 12 of my friends that died on one helicopter because it's too painful. But that prevented me from having a relationship with other people that would help me get through that process. So a lot of veterans go through that. When I met Mylan and I found out he was a veteran, and he told me what he had done in the military, I'm like, you got to talk to our Rotary Club, you got to talk to our veteran group. And Mylan was like, ooh, I've never told that story before. And so he went and spent a lot of time. We need to get you back up here because it's been a while since you've done it. But when you're recovered enough from the heart surgery, you feel like you want to do it. But he gave us a little bit of a history lesson about Vietnam, and then he started talking about a lot of the things that he experienced while he was there. And I remember at one point, he wasn't talking about anything emotional, but he choked up a little bit. And we waited for him to compose himself, and then he apologized, and he said, nobody's ever asked me to talk about my service before. So that's pretty huge. And then you get somebody that is able to talk about it and educate other people and help somebody get more VA benefits that they never asked for in 50 years. I mean, that's why we got to pull each other out. We got to tell our stories, and whether it's a super cool combat story where you got lifted out of triple canopy jungle on a rope, or you did your duty in a motor pool, we all need to hear about it. And every bit of it is just as valuable as any other. So, Mylan, Jim, thanks. Mark, go ahead.
When you mentioned Home Depot, I got to tell you guys, they got a new system now. You put an app on your phone and you get a 10% discount. But we spent so much money there as veterans only on the first $4,000. So Lowe's still has it where you can go in there and spend 20 grand and get a 10% discount. I made them aware of that. But anyway, here's another thing you need to be aware of. If your disability, any disability rating you got, you can get your property taxes cut.
Right.
If you've got 100% disability, you don't have any.
You don't have any problem.
Well, you gotta have a little, like our mud still doesn't do that, but everybody else does. And that's a good thing to know, because property taxes are not cheap taxes.
80%?
80% will get you a discount, 100% will get you zero.
100% will get you
Go back to it in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get the backdated about 34.
Their system doesn't go back that far.
So talk to me about June, July. Do you guys want to meet, or do you want to take a summer break?
What? It's just another month.
Just ask it. I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll meet you, let me talk.
Zach, put Mylan on the roster if you would. Who do we have speaking next month? We got somebody lined up.
Y'all better be here next 2 months. I've been planning it. It's already ready to go. So June, July are good. Next June we have Logan Burnett speaking. You want to give him a little update?
Yeah, Logan just joined Gallup Hughes, our development director. Sarah Gale stepped down the end of last month for personal reasons. And Logan is an Army veteran. He was actually shot in the terrorist attack at Fort Hood. And I think like 5 or 6 times, and survived that, tried to fight back the terrorist, and somebody just pulled on the door. It's probably Logan.
Threw a chair out.
He had threw a table at him. Yeah, so there's some news articles on him, but he's going to tell his story and his transition story. And then who's after that?
July we have, it should be confirmed, but Mr. G and he's got some associates, as you can say. You want to get a little story real fast?
Mylan and Associates?
My cardiologist, believe it or not, he's about 10, 15 years younger, thank God, than I am. Actually was part of, his father was an ambassador to Vietnam, worked in the branch over there in the United States. And he and his brother grew up in Vietnam. They were there for 10 or 12 years. So They're the youngest Vietnam vets that never saw combat that I know of, but they were actually water skiing on the Mekong River as gunships and all kinds of stuff were flying over top of. A lot of the gunships would follow them because they thought they were Vietnamese on the water or something. And he's got some pretty crazy pictures and some pretty wild tales. If you can ever put that together in a presentable program, we're working on it. We're trying to get him to do that. And I say we, it's Kathy and myself trying to get him to transfer that.
So it's not confirmed yet, so we'll have to give it.
Yeah, it's maybe open for July.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody else wants to sign up, tell your story, get with Zach. He'll get you on the list, and that'll be good. Remember, watch for Gold Star families. Anybody else have any other announcements?
So one thing I'm going to encourage everybody to do here is reach out to somebody you serve with, or somebody that you know who serves, a teammate, squad mate, shipmate, anything like that. Because you don't know the profound effect that you can have on them in a positive way. For example, last year was 2021. It was the 10th anniversary of my roommate, Michael Nicholas O'Connor, being killed in action and staying in Afghanistan. He was hit by a rocket while at an LPOP, a listening post, observation post. When we got home, myself and another Marine told his family what happened. Mom, dad, sister, what happened. They were just told, hey, your son was in Afghanistan and he was killed in action. That's all they were told due to OPSEC, operational security. We got back, I want to say October 2011, November 2011, myself and another Marine, our platoon sergeant told the mom, dad, sister what happened because they had no idea. And we told them the amount of information that we had to tell. We felt compelled to tell them. But of course, we left out a few details. But fast forward 10 years later, I talked with Carl, my boss. April, I wanted to go see one of my other Marines that was killed in action, Joe Jackson, up in the Yakima Valley, Washington State. But I was thinking, I was like, hey, I've seen him 3 times, but I've never seen O'Connor. O'Connor lives in this pretty small rural area called Douglas, Wyoming. So that's the idea. Boss gave me approval. My daughter's mom was able to come spend her visitation time with her, and I made this trek up from here to Douglas, Wyoming. At that time, I was on the phone with a lot of the Marines I served with, and man, I want to say if an hour-long phone call had happened, 45 minutes of that phone call was hyperventilating, crying, pouring my eyes out, freaking out. And blood pressure was up, I was shaking. And this would be anywhere from Amarillo to basically northern Colorado. And I would basically, just be concerned with it. Are they going to approve of me being there? Am I going to do anything for them? What are they going to think of me? What are my Marines think of me? Because I was in the spotlight. In reality, when I got there, I spent the weekend with that family. A lot of closure happened for that family. Not only that, but I got to see some of the Marines I served with in country that were not only just in Afghanistan in general time period I was at, they were actually with my platoon, so we experienced a lot of things together. There were indirect fire attacks, actually doing patrols, mountain patrols, things like that, doing raids, blowing up walls, whatever we did. I got to see a lot of them. Actually, one of them and I have the same tattoo, and it was really great to see them. So coming around this year, I found out that those 2 Marines that I saw in Colorado both wanted to reach out to me and link up with me and go pay their respects to O'Connor, because of the fact that no one else has been there. And I'm sure a lot of us here know what the coins on a grave means. If you don't know what it means, I'll give you a quick little hip pocket class. A penny means that you paid your respects and you visited that grave. A nickel represents that you served that person in boot camp. A dime is a representation that you served that person in some capacity in the military. A quarter represents that you were with that person at the time of death when they passed away. My quarter was the only coin on there along with one other penny. And there's another penny because there's another veteran in that general area, and the population there is like 600 people, not very many. So there's a bunch of other veterans put a penny on my roommate's grave. But again, that was last year. Fast forward to now, because of what I did, not trying to sound conceited or narcissist or anything, but somebody had to break the seal. Someone had to get the first step. Somehow, some way I did. I felt I was called to by my roommates. The whole way up there was a crappy trip. It was raining, and I thought my guys were doing everything they could to prevent me from going there. I made it, and now I'm taking 2 other of my Marines that are ready to go to visit his grave as well, and then I'm also going to go see another Marine in Montana. But The reason I'm saying this is because you don't know what you can do to positively affect somebody's life, especially one that you serve with or someone that you know who serves. A lot of us, like we mentioned here, basically there's been a whole plethora of people who've spoken today. And I think the general consensus is to be there for somebody, reach out to somebody, always move forward, because whenever you have these, maybe these older veterans, such as some of us here, and I'm not going to make eye contact with anybody here on that note, but at the same time, we have some of these younger veterans that are transitioning home, and we actually have now some of us, our parents here, who have active duty military, want their kids, but who were kids are service personnel at this point, right? DOD's got them, Big Brother has them, but we have to be ready for them. So when we share these stories, when we connect with one another, we're basically paving the way and establishing that foundation for this newer, even younger generation coming home out of the military soon. Just like Mayor's son who's going to come home hopefully in a few more years once he's done and do some great things with his life. Well, sharing your story, being there, being active, and stepping up and becoming a leader that a better community can have a profound effect. So reach out to somebody you know. I think I've some personal things in my life, and if I didn't have the support group that I had recently, I wouldn't have passed my classes. I wouldn't have gotten really good grades in my finals, and this is my first full semester back. But I think a lot of that is contributed to the group that I have that's backing me up left and right. So reach out to somebody and tell them that you're there for them. If you need help, reach out to me or Carl or anybody here. We'll be willing to talk. That's it. I got my soapbox.
Thanks, Ed. Don, would you be willing to take us out, give us a blessing?
Say the prayer.
Be happy to. We certainly have a lot to pray for. Heavenly Father, we just look upon you for grace, guidance, and above all, to appreciate the love, in spite of the fact that we fail many times. We ask you, Lord, in the days to come, that our nation will suddenly wake up, forget about materialism, think about our country, think about our children and our schools, everything that's fallen apart. Lord, there was a time when you led us. We were a great nation, a Christian nation, a godly nation. But somehow we've asked you to leave. And now you just seem to observe what's happening. So we ask you, Lord, to help us. Because we can always rely on one thing. We always have your grace up with us. And we always have the forgiveness of sin in Christ Jesus. Because the blood was shed on the cross. He died for us because he loved us. Thank you so much for our meeting tonight. Encourage us and use it for your glory. We thank you so much again. Thank you. All in the name of Christ and thy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thanks for coming. Bring somebody next month.
There's so much action, I can't.
I know.
That's kid up.
Have y'all ever tried to listen in on the, like, when they used to do Zoom meetings? It was horrible. Yeah, that's what you sound. It is. They need that.
We had a ball game last night. In spite of the game.
Kelly posted your picture. I'd already seen it. I knew you'd been at the ball game. You can't sneak around when you're with Kelly.
You say you were naked?
Yeah.
Army?
Air Force.
Hey, everything is Air Force.
You know what the
They don't know what I do, and I don't know what they do, but I watch them.
So in your war, you had the Thunderbolt 1, the P-47.
Yeah.
I flew the Thunderbolt 2, the A-10. It's called the Thunderbolt 2. Yeah.
Heavy.
Titanium.
But they're far share.
Yeah, I just committed to buy it, and I was trying to clear out the house.